What's going on, everybody? Good late morning. We're gonna skip the routing guide postmortem this week. So if you were looking for it, don't look for it. It's not there. We have games tomorrow morning, so we don't really have time for it. And right now, we know what we need. It's all in front of us. We know what games need to go our way in order to massage the scenario enough for us to get in. So I don't feel the need to do a postmortem this week. If you want to know how the games last week affected us, then you can go watch the routing guide from last week and compare it to the results. But we're not going to bother with that this week. We don't have time. We're playing on Thursday. We've got games tomorrow morning. So we're going to go straight to the week 17 routing guide. And we're going to be very scientific this week. We're going to be very precise. I'm going to try to find every single edge that I can find because the Seahawks need some breaks if they're going to make this work. The Seahawks need some things to go their way that they have no control over if they're going to thread the needle here. So we have to cover as much as possible. So with that being said, we're going to start with tomorrow's games. Wednesday, Netflix, Christmas Day. Having games on a Wednesday after, some of these teams played on, I believe some of these teams played on a Sunday, right? The Texans and Chiefs did, is absolutely diabolical. I know the Steelers and Ravens played on Saturday. That's questionable as is, but Chiefs Texans played each other on Sunday, to my recollection. That's absolutely disgusting. But this first game, we really actually, this is actually important now. It's not important on the surface. It's actually very important. We need the Chiefs to win. We need the Chiefs to win so they have nothing to play for in week 18 and they can rest starters against Denver because we need Denver to win their games. So I know some of you guys are not going to like it, but if you want this team to find the creative backdoor into the postseason, we are Chiefs fans for this week, period. That's actually an underratedly big part of this. Now, I don't believe that the Ravens-Texans game has any effect on us. I can't even find like a tangential effect, so not really worried about that one. And of course, we got Thursday Night Football, which is the Seahawks game, which speaks for itself. Now, some people have pointed out that we can lose this game and still win the division as long as we beat the Rams and the Rams lose to the Cardinals, but we need to win this game if we're going to pull off the backdoor tiebreaker scenario. So I still want to win. And again, I don't want to lose to the Bears. It's embarrassing, man. All right, so now we get to Saturday here. We've got some games going on. Quite a bit of action here, actually. Excuse me. So Chargers Patriots. Nothing really to speak of here that I can think of. I guess the Chargers play the Raiders in week 18, but the Chargers are probably going to play that game hard regardless. So I don't think them winning or losing this game is going to affect their level of effort against the Raiders the following week. So I'm not going to put any value there. Broncos Bengals, however, this is pretty important. We need the Broncos to win. We need the Broncos to win. And we also need them to hopefully have something to play for next week, which is predicated partially on what some of these other AFC teams do, but we can't worry about that right now. We need the Broncos to win this game, and then we take it from there. So I would say that keep a very close eye on this one. This is going to be the second most important game of Saturday for the Seahawks. And it's only not the most important because we actually have Cardinals Rams on Saturday. Now, I want to be clear here. We're talking about a very convoluted tiebreaker where this game will actually not matter as much, right? That's why we're talking about the things that we need to happen in some of these other games. But we still very much want Arizona to find a way to win this game. I'm not counting them out. They obviously haven't been playing great football lately, but they are an okay team. And they blew the Rams out earlier this year. It's maybe a favorable matchup for them. I know they're eliminated, but I don't think that team with Jonathan Gannon, who has been a better coach than I expected, is going to just roll over and play dead because they're out. I mean, they were out of the playoffs for basically the second half of the season last year, and they still played hard almost every week. So that's a big one. That would make this whole thing much easier. If the Cardinals can beat the Rams, we have a lot less to worry about, but we have to prepare for the possibility of it not happening. I mean, the Rams are 6-point favorites for a reason. And while the Rams aren't playing great football their last two games, they have won, and they're capable of playing a very high level of football that a team like the Cardinals hasn't really shown they can reach. Like, the Cardinals have not played any games this year as impressive as the Rams beating the Bills or probably the Vikings. All right, so we're going to jump ahead to Sunday here, where there will not be a ton of games because of all the stuff we had happen on earlier days, but there are going to be some results here that we are strongly rooting for to break our way. Unfortunately, they're going to be a little bit hard to work out. We need the Jets to beat the Bills. Well, I don't want to say need, but the Jets beating the Bills flips a switch. The Jets beating the Bills flips a switch that reduces the paths forward if the switch is not flipped, right? So, unfortunately, we're going to need the Aaron Rodgers, hapless, hopeless Jeff Ulbrich Jets, who did play semi-competitively against the Rams last week, I guess, to go into Buffalo and get a win. So, not holding my breath, but that's what we need. Raiders Saints, as it turns out, does not really matter. Raiders Saints is a throwaway game. I guess we're rooting for a tie, but both these teams lost to the Rams this year. So, one team winning and the other team losing is just as good as the other team winning and the other team losing. So, there's no point in rooting for one team to win over the other. Maybe a tie helps us. I don't know. But I don't even know if that helps us, but I guess that's the only thing to root for. Colts, Giants, no direct impact here, I guess. I would say we want the Giants to win for strength of schedule purposes, but that's not going to matter as it turns out because I guess strength of victory is more important than strength of schedule, so no point in sweating that at the moment. The Colts side of things, obviously in the other conference, I don't think we necessarily need anything from the Colts this in this upcoming couple of games, so I'm not really going to worry about what they do, win or lose. I'm looking at my chart right now. I actually have the chart down here, and I don't see the Colts here, so that's a nothing burger. Cowboys, Eagles. Eagles are obviously going to win that division, and the Cowboys are eliminated, so whatever. Don't really care that much. I guess if the Eagles lose, that will give some teams at the top, like the Vikings and the Lions, a little less to play for in the final week of the season, which could potentially have a little bit of an impact because we do want the Lions to win that last game. So maybe we're rooting for a scenario where Minnesota has nothing to play for, but that's a little hard to untangle. And I wouldn't worry about it right now because we're not going to know what we wanted this game to do until after we see what teams like the Lions and Vikings do. So I'm going to call that one a kind of a whatever game, personally. I don't think there's much to say there. We'll know later. We'll know after the fact what we wanted to happen. Panthers, Buccaneers. On the surface, I don't think there's much here. We do want Atlanta to beat Carolina in Week 18, though. I know that. Now, Carolina is obviously out of it no matter what. But we also want Tampa Bay to win in Week 18. So we want Tampa Bay to have something to play for and play hard in Week 18. Now, at the same time, I think Tampa Bay is going to play as hard as they can regardless. Even if they don't make the playoffs, they're still going to be motivated to beat New Orleans in Week 18. So if you feel like Tampa Bay will lay down and die in Week 18 if they lose this game or something, then I guess you're rooting for them. But I don't really think that one matters. to a terribly extreme degree. Titans, Jaguars, toilet bowl. Can't imagine this outcome having any meaningful impact going forward. We may need these teams to do certain things in week 18, although I doubt it. But it's not going to be impacted by whether or not they lose this game. They're long out of it. Going to the afternoon window, we have the Dolphins and the Browns. We need Miami to win. We need Miami to take care of their business in this one. We need them to win out. Now, that's a pretty reasonable ask this week, right? Against the Browns. Miami's technically still alive, although they may not be by the time this game kicks off, I guess. I guess if Denver wins, they won't be, but they're a much better team, and McDaniel might be coaching for his job. So, okay, that's a good one, right? Now we get to Packers-Vikings, and we need the Packers. We need the Packers to come through here. This would be a very big switch to be flipped because it is an upset, but only a small one. And it may put it may put the Vikings in a situation where, depending on some tiebreakers, they may not be able to win the division week 18, depending on what the Lions do. We'll have to see. I'm not going to untangle that at the moment, but regardless, we know we need the Packers to win. Very important. Also very important would be Falcons Commanders. This is actually one of the most important games of the day. We need the Falcons. We need the Falcons to win very badly. This is a big one. Michael Penix, I was going to root for him anyway, right? So this works out nicely. And look, we still want Atlanta to win that division, I guess. I'm not worried about that anymore, but in a vacuum, yeah, you want Atlanta to win because you beat Atlanta head-to-head. So that becomes a better win. And a more valuable one. So yeah, big Falcons fans for Sunday Night Football. And then Monday night, this is another easy one. We need the Lions. We need the Lions to continue to win here. If they win this game and the Minnesota Vikings lose their game, it's possible. I would have to untangle the tiebreaker. I'm not sure. It is possible that Minnesota would not be able to win the division and therefore maybe has less to play for in the final week of the season, which I believe, let me check my chart here. Yes, would also be a good result for us, even though they actually play the Lions head-to-head next week. So that will take some effort to untangle. So that's the rooting guide. If you want to find that back door, we need these switches to get flipped. And we also need some switches to get set up to flip easier the following week. So that's everything that I can figure right now. There is probably some slightly more convoluted stuff you could uncover, but some of it is predicated on future results that we can't possibly know about. So I'm not going to wrestle with that right now. Instead, what I'm going to say is we want the Chiefs. We got to have the Chiefs. Got to have the Broncos. Definitely rooting for the Cardinals, although that's separate from this scenario. We want the Jets. We want the, let's see here. We want the Dolphins, and we want the Packers, and we want the Falcons, and we want the Lions. Enough switches flip. This can go our way, but it's got to happen. And by the way, you need to beat the Bears. If we don't beat the Bears, this whole stuff might become moot. If we lose to the Bears, we can go into Saturday and Sunday kind of already knowing, especially if the Rams win, then it's done. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. That's the rooting guide. Follow along or don't, but I will check in the day after to see where things stand.